Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the FPL Watchlist here on the Fantasy Football Scout channel. We are 5 weeks into the season, and if you are like us, well, if you're like two of us and are struggling to get off the mark this season, hopefully we're going to discuss a few things. There sounds like there is a wave of wildcards about to be activated, but for a lot of people, it's not this week. So we'll talk about this week and maybe what you want to do this week, looking forward, and all of that good stuff. But before we dive into that, let's say hello. Tom, how are we doing?
Very well, thank you. Looking forward to the Champions League tonight. And yeah, this week, I guess it's a little bit of a dead week this week with next week, the big one. But I've already made a transfer, so a bit of a spoiler for the end there.
Stephen, how are we doing?
I've been better from an FPL perspective. Other than that, I'm doing well and yeah, enjoying the Champions League and the respite from a woeful start to the FPL season.
Yeah, it's nice to have the Champions League back and for Tom and I to have, after a few years of Chelsea not being in it, I feel like there's extra...
We're pretty hard done by, aren't we, Harry? As Chelsea
There's
fans.
extra excitement, although going away to Bayern Munich. Let's see, it might be a bit of a crash back to reality. But before we dive in, we've actually got a question for everyone in the chat. So we were just discussing about the number of clean sheets there have been so far this season. So 32 clean sheets already in the first 4 weeks, which is 8 per game week, which is almost, I think, 75% higher than there was at this point last season. But the question we have, and we want you all to guess in the chat, is which are the 4 teams in the league not to have a clean sheet so far this season? There are only 4. I think I know 2 of them. I think I'll give it a minute to guess, but I think I know 2 of them. One of them is, I think 2 of them are in my team, which is always a good start. I think I benched both of them this week. So I'm going to go Wolves as one and Forest as another.
That's what I had.
I don't know who the others are.
Those are definitely 2. I do know the other 2, but that's because I looked it up before. So
Yeah,
I won't spoil it for
let me
anyone
try
yet.
and work it out. Oh, United, Justin saying in the chat. That's 3.
United is one of them.
And Burnley do.
West
Sunderland
Ham
do.
West Ham won 3-0, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, West Ham do. Yeah, Wolves, United, Forest. Who's the 4th one? Hang on. City kept wanting Graham. What,
I
Brighton?
think Sam's got it.
There you go.
Yeah. Sam,
Brighton.
Sam. That is good. Before we get going, if you could drop a like on the stream and subscribe if you are new. And I feel like Tom has kindly put my team up, so we'll start there. 58 points with a -4, so a net 54. We're 3 weeks into the season. I took a hit to buy a West Ham midfielder, and they lost 3-0. So the less we say about this week, the better, I think. Anderson 10 points, the sort of big saving grace, along with a Salah last-minute penalty. João Pedro continues to bail me out every single week. But I just wasn't convinced Chris Wood would do anything, and I wasn't convinced on Agbadu either. So I took a -4 to do Paqueta in for Ismail Assar, who was injured, and I did Esteve up to Senesi as a -4. I actually like the transfers going forward. Like, I think they are better for my team, but they just didn't really pay off this week. And double Villa, blanked again. Yeah, good stuff. It's 58 points, so I dropped from like 3.2 million to 4.8 with the -4. So yeah, rough. Back to where I was after game week 1, unfortunately.
Yeah, tough start with the double Villa, and I'm with you there, Harry. I mean, they've just been so tough to watch. Like, they just don't look like they're ever going to score this season. And I think the stat everyone's been throwing around is just that I think the only team in England's top 7 divisions not to score yet, which is just insane.
Yeah,
when you look
and
at
they
the
scored
quality
last
of the
night.
players. Yeah, they
But
did.
they really shouldn't have done.
And also, Watkins
And they were both on
scored
the
a penalty.
bench. Yeah.
Watkins scored a pen, lads. So,
Yeah, he did.
He's
And-
got that off the mark.
So I was interested about the penalty order last night, because normally your first penalty your person who's going to take them takes first, which was McGinn. And I wonder if that was just because he's like experienced, but he missed. So, I mean, they're not going to get a pen realistically, but it did make me wonder who's actually going to be on pens for them. The rest of them
that's
weren't
true.
great. At least Watkins scored.
I mean, if Watkins is also not on pens, then he is just a terrible FPL asset so far. Like, that is just a terrible pick from us. But Yeah, who could have expected this start? Yeah, my team up on the screen now. Not a great week for me. I got one more point than Harry, so obviously I'm a better FPL manager right now. Um,
And you didn't take a hit, so
yeah, true. But yeah, another red arrow. I've not actually had a green arrow yet this season, so really looking forward to one of those. I wonder what they feel like. But yeah, my defense has saved me massively here. Munoz, Van Dijk, and Van de Ven all with clean sheets, and obviously Van de Ven with a goal too, grabbing 14 points. And then that Salah last minute penalty, pretty clutch for all the FPL managers, I'm pretty sure. And I think we all needed that with Haaland going big as well. He was the other big captaincy shout. So someone like Haaland could, slowly start to make his way into my team because my forward line has been absolutely stinking it up this whole season, to be honest. This game week they did nothing. And actually my strikers have only scored one goal this season for me. And that was Mateta in game week 3. So yeah, hopefully I can turn things around and get my first green arrow in game week 5.
I was looking at this. My transfers in this season have been Chris Wood, who's blanked twice, Ishmael Assar, who scored on my bench and then got injured, Lucas Paqueta, who blanked, and Senesi, who also blanked. So I've used 4 transfers this year to buy nothing, basically. Tom, your team?
Yeah, it was a red arrow this week, but not a big one, so that was fine. Defenders came in, all 4 clean sheets. Obviously Salah in the last minute. Would have got 3 bonus last season before the changes. I don't know how many people know that, but so that's the penalty taker being less powerful. João Pedro got 2 bonus somehow. I'm not quite sure how he did that, but I think Palmer went down at the end. Probably because of that shot on target in the last few minutes. And yeah, Anderson was the best pick this week. Gabriel came in for my transfer with 8 Nori taken out. He got Defcons and bonus, which was really nice. And yeah, Chris Richards scored last night, which was annoying. He could have done with that goal this weekend. But he took the second penalty if you're buying into your theory.
He took the second pen as well.
Harry. But,
who, Chris Richards?
Yeah, he took the second pen and scored it.
Palace, if Mateta's not on the pitch, Chris Richards is on pens.
Yeah, hope so. But yeah, as Torpedo Runner in the chat saying pens are less powerful only for forwards, not the mids. It's the mids. The mids are affected because everyone gets 12 BPS for a penalty, as opposed to 18 for a midfield goal. So it did cost Salah 2 points the weekend.
I think João Pedro didn't Palmer lose because he lost winning goal bonus. Oh no, Caicedo scored the winner. Ignore me. 67 is pretty good. That defense is nice. Yeah. Let's use it as a segue, right? Let's talk about should we be playing more defenders. 32 clean sheets so far this season. We spoke about it a little bit at the beginning. 18 at this point last year. Defenses are, there's more clean sheets in the same year that they've added DEFCON. So defenders are getting a huge boost compared to what we're used to at this point in the season. Do we think that's a long-term thing that we're going to see, or is it going to go back to normal? Stephen, what's your thoughts?
It's so hard to predict just based off 4 game weeks. But it's one of those things where if you're starting to see a trend like this, and we call it a trend, but if you're starting to see this sort of pattern of clean sheets compared to previous seasons, that alone would have you say, okay, maybe, investing more into the defense or going for a 4, potentially even a 5 at the back, which feels like so sweaty, but I feel like it's going in that direction. If you were to say just the clean sheet stats alone, you could say that's a viable option. But then you add in DEFCON as well, and it just increases the likelihood of that becoming a viable option in FPL this season.
It's like, Tom, we're talking about wildcard drafts before we came on, and you have a 4 million defender in there. But I think I'm going to do my best whenever I decide to wildcard to not have a 4 million defender, because as good as Burnley, Sunderland, and Leeds have been, if you can upgrade one of them to a 4-5, like looking at Senesi, looking at Anderson, looking at some of the other 4-5s, you can easily build such good squad depth that in a time of panic, if you get an injury or something, having that to fall back on feels really good. Maybe you trust the new promoted teams well enough that you can play them. But you're thinking of wildcarding next week, Tom. Are you putting more weight into this?
I don't know. I mean, on the 4 million defenders, I think if my team value wasn't so rubbish, that might be easier not to have one. But and obviously Alderete, who's currently in my wildcard draft for next week, he has got DEFCON twice, which is obviously quite good. And he plays Wolves at home on a bench boost week, so there's a lot of pluses there. But yeah, it's not far to jump up to Senesi, Van de Ven, who obviously Senesi's killing it for DEFCON. We'll probably expect these numbers to like even out a little bit, I guess, or I don't know. I mean, last year was a very low year for clean sheets. I think 13 was the Golden Glove for Raya and Sells, which is really low. Like, I think the year before it was maybe 20 for Liverpool. Maybe, or the year before that it was definitely 20. So I guess, I don't know. Do you think like the managers are being more cautious? You know, everyone talks about football's more boring these days. Do you think managers, like, that's just the thing with clean sheets, or what is it, we even out?
I think there's a little bit of it, and I think managers are seeing players get injured a lot and seeing the number of games that they've got to play, and there is a little bit of safety first approach, and we're seeing it more and more across teams, I think. So
also, the promoted teams aren't useless. That's probably
that's the other thing, right? We're not seeing the promoted teams and the other teams down at the bottom getting absolutely pummeled compared to what we have done in previous years. So I don't think we'll see it regress to the same level. Like I think it will be somewhere in the middle. I don't think we'll go straight back to previous seasons levels. And when you add DEFCON on top of that, I just don't think we need to worry about playing a back four anymore.
And you mean that from the perspective of we shouldn't worry that you think it's a good thing that we should be going for it? Yeah, I think, I
don't necessarily think, like, so for example, I use my team as an example. I've got Paqueta at home to Palace this week, or I've got Senesi at home to Newcastle. Like, naturally, that's a really easy decision for most of us. But when you start to add this in, Senesi's base feels like 4, whereas Paqueta has to get return to match that, basically. So those sorts of decisions suddenly become much closer between adding the defender in versus adding the midfielder in.
What about someone who's not on pens, like Anderson and Caicedo? Do you think would you play Senesi over those guys?
I think it's slightly different there because you're then comparing it to DEFCON mids. So like Caicedo's going to hit DEFCON as much as Senesi is, it feels like. Yeah, so, but if you were to compare it to Reinders, for example, then, Reinders away at Arsenal or Senesi at home to Newcastle. Like, I'd play Senesi over Reinders this week, I think.
I think it becomes really interesting on, let's say, like a wild card, a game week 6 wild card, because all these DEFCON players, the defenders, in around the 4.5 mark, you could name 4 or 5 that you could have in your team. Same thing with the midfielders, like in around the 5.5 to 6 million mark. So what it does is it opens up the possibility of having, let's say, 3 premiums in your team. But then we're also at a point where it's like, do we want, like, are the premiums even performing to the level that we want to spend that much of our budget? Other than Haaland, I feel like there's still a bit of risk attached to the other premiums that I see people having in their wildcards. So it's almost like if you were to build the perfect wildcard team, you could even end up with a few million in the bank.
Yeah, I think the thing on wildcard that is the decision is Palmer. That if you've got the money left over, that's probably where it's going now. But he scored at the weekend, but he still played that. He didn't play on the right, did he, Tom? When he came on, he played central left again.
He came on for Buonanotte, because Tyreek George was on the left for a bit. Obviously, Neto was on the right.
He scored because he was in the box and João Pedro headed it down, but he didn't score because he was in the positions that we want Palmer to be in yet. And I know Tom and I disagree on this, but I still think if we see him back out on that left-hand side, he's not worth the money. But if he's going to play on the right, then he is.
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't think he is going to play on the right very often because we will want to get Esteval, Neto into the team. I think Garnacho is going to come into it. I think he is going to be in the number 10 with Enzo. But
if Enzo's on the right of him, then 10.5 mil for him is quite a lot. And people are suddenly like,
playing well again. Like, did he not just have a bad patch? Because when he had that incredible run at the start of last season, Madueke was outside him, right?
Yeah, but he was still playing right 10 in that point.
What with
I think.
Enzo? What, and now they've swapped.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I just thought
Palmer
he was
even-
amazing on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I agree. He was
Yeah,
great.
he was.
But is he even like a slight rotation risk? Do you see him playing when he's fit every single game for Chelsea in the Prem?
Well, let's talk about the Chelsea quotes. I know it refers to Sanchez, right? But the quotes from Maresca basically says even Sanchez will basically need to be rotated. And
But he
I
did
don't
mention the
think-
Premier League specifically.
yes, yeah, he did. He said it will basically it will happen in all competitions. Now, I wouldn't worry about it for the near future, but I think every Chelsea player is not going to play every game between now and Christmas. And that includes Palmer, and it also includes João Pedro.
And Cucurella, we saw get benched
Well,
as well.
exactly.
Yeah, that was a surprise because I didn't know he would trust Hato yet. And to be fair, he took him off at half time, so maybe he won't be doing that again. But I mean, like we saw it last year with Jorgensen played against Southampton and Ipswich when he wasn't first choice, because he was first choice for a few weeks. But
Yeah.
and against Ipswich he was terrible. So I don't really want him to be doing that. But if he is, the Sunderland at home fixture looks the worst for that potentially.
Burnley away as well.
Yeah, the thing with Burnley away is I think it's after League Cup, so I don't know if he'd play Jorgensen twice, but like the Sunderland at home fixture looks like the one, but I would agree that I don't think Palmer would start every game, but I guess he could have his minutes managed, and obviously depends on injuries. But I think with João Pedro, I could see, I don't know, I find it hard to think we could do a team without João Pedro at the minute.
Sorry, say that again.
I find it hard to believe that we could put a team out without João Pedro at the minute.
Well, apparently João Pedro asked not to play against Brentford.
Yeah, he said he didn't feel right after Brazil. And then Maresca said, well, sorry, go out and play
Tough
anyway.
luck.
which does feel like he's going to play pretty much all the time. At the
I mean,
moment.
it's like Delap's out till December.
And like he'll play basically 0 minutes in any cup game.
So that's two
And-
midweeks. He can rest if we beat
And
Lincoln.
like we've got like Quarabag away in the Champions League, right? He might not start that. So outside of those 3 games, I think João Pedro plays pretty much them all because he feels very important. I actually wonder if Palmer is a bigger risk than João Pedro.
I feel like he is, and obviously you guys are more in the know with the Chelsea comings and goings, but from what we've seen based off the evidence, you would say Palmer is more of a rotation because he's arguably also, I would say he's probably more important to Chelsea than João Pedro is. Maybe just historically, that's what I'm basing it off. But obviously, João Pedro has been huge for you guys this season. But are we really looking at a 10.5 million midfielder that could be a rotation risk?
I mean,
I think he could miss one game.
Yeah.
And that's because he's got fitness issues. If he didn't have fitness issues, Maresca would... I mean, Maresca, if you look at last season, he played him... He wasn't benched when he wasn't fit, right? Because that Southampton game that everyone was benched, he started. And Maresca
It wouldn't
always
put me
says-
off picking Palmer on wildcard.
No.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
And I wouldn't sell Sanchez this week for the people in the chat asking.
I don't think he'll get benched. I think game week, 8 is the earliest.
But please don't do it, Maresca.
But I think it'll be 8 is away at Forest after an international break, so I don't think it'll be then either. So I think it'll be 9 at the earliest.
But this is why we have Dubravka lads coming to save us.
This is a fair point.
Game week 9 when Chelsea have Sunderland at home, Dubravka's got Wolves away, so
There you go.
Right.
But would you pick Sanchez on a wild card?
Probably not, because I'll probably end up with Raya.
Is that because of these quotes though? Would
no.
these quotes put you off if you thought Sanchez
It
was the
might
best?
move the dial 5-10%, but I don't think it would move it more than that. Because I do actually really like the Chelsea fixtures. But I just like Raya, particularly with the... I know Gabriel got DEFCON this week, but with the Arsenal defenders not being good for DEFCON, Raya gets a boost, I think.
Yeah. Vicario
And
as
then
well is pretty highly rated.
But if you
Yeah.
don't have Sanchez and you still want a slice of that Chelsea defense, like where do you even go now?
Well, we can segue on to Cucurella there. the Cucurella slide, because he was benched, the highest owned defender before game week 4. It's quite hard to say, really. I think Sanchez is by far and away the best pick.
Yep, I agree.
Because Gusto, I don't know, I can kind of see James playing the Champions League and Gusto getting a lot of league minutes, which pushes Cucurella right back. Like, if Cucurella started every game at centre-back, he's not worth the money.
Yeah. I don't think I'd buy Cucurella now. Because I just think it is possible it happens again. I think the only one I'd consider now is Tosin. And I still don't think I'd do it with... The good thing about Tosin is he doesn't often make centre-back subs. So...
But if Fofana played...
Yeah, then that's true.
But you know Badiashiel's going to pop up at some point. He always does.
Yeah.
It's just like, but when you say, like, not you personally, but if you say Tosin's great, but like you could get Senesi or...
Well, exactly.
So
I just don't think, if I'm owning a Chelsea defender, I take Sanchez and I have Dubravka to cover when he doesn't play.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, it's tough because a player like Cucurella has basically everything you want in an FPL pick. You know, he plays for a good defense, picking up very attacking positions. And up until last week, you would have said he's nailed on. But I just think we're going to see more and more of it this season because managers, I just see it's a general trend in the Premier League of managers rotating a lot more, you know, their defenders, which isn't something we would have seen. Obviously, we started to see a bit last season, but even up until then, it's like you have your back four, and unless one of them gets an injury, they're going to play every single minute in basically every competition. But rotating in the Premier League is a new thing. I think we're starting to see. So no one is safe.
People are saying in the chat, well, you just don't need a piece of the Chelsea defence, and that's probably fine. But from game week 8 to game week 16, we play Forest away, Sunderland at home, Spurs away, Wolves at home, Burnley away, Arsenal, Leeds, Bournemouth, Everton. Like, it is a really good run. And even after that, we play Newcastle and then Villa at home, Bournemouth at home. The run for Chelsea is really good. So I can understand why people do want a piece of it.
I could still wildcard with Sanchez, to be fair.
Yeah, so
I think compared to Raya, to save the money, I don't think it's massively different. I guess in the back of my mind, I have a bench boost. Like, would I want to be kind of shafted on a bench boost? But it's probably unlikely if you time it right. But yeah, I mean, he's not. I wouldn't not pick Sanchez, and like he is miles better than Jorgensen. I think you'd agree with that. So,
cool. If you're looking elsewhere for Cucurella's price, then Gabriel, Van Dijk, Gvardiol back now. Which of those do you think it's just straightforward Arsenal? They've conceded 1 goal so far this season, which was that Szoboszlai free kick.
Yeah.
Is there any? Does Van Dijk's DEFCON get him anywhere near Gabriel?
I think if I was wildcarding, I'd try to fit both of them in. But you look at those Liverpool fixtures, and they aren't ideal. But then again, you have the counter argument of first, it's Liverpool, so they probably can get a clean sheet against anyone. And second, there's DEFCON, so Van Dijk can get DEFCON against anyone. The other thing I saw with Arsenal defence, I think the highest XG chance they've conceded all season is 0.12, 0.12. So that's just, is that even a big chance? Like, that's crazy.
They haven't conceded a big chance yet.
Yeah, that's mental. There you go. So it's got to be Gabriel compared to Van Dijk, but I think they're both good.
I did ask on Twitter yesterday, because I've been very impressed by all the centre-backs who have filled in Saliba's absence, about whether there is any, a bit like we say with Sanchez, right? Could Sanchez miss a game between now and Christmas? Could it happen to one of the Arsenal centre-backs? The general opinion is it's unlikely, but it's more likely than it has been in previous years.
Yeah, so I saw that tweet. But I guess with Gabriel, like, he plays for Brazil, so there's always a chance he comes back from international duty, like, a bit knackered. Yeah. But on the other hand, Saliba he's the more injury-prone one, right? Like, I can imagine them protecting Saliba more than Gabriel. Because Mosquera seems to be really, really impressive, and the other centre back, who I can't remember his name, can play a left back as well. He came on for Calafiori last night.
Yeah.
In Capier, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like,
they're both quality.
if I'm just looking at, so they play, Arsenal come back from the international break, go away to Fulham at 5:30 on the Saturday before hosting Atletico Madrid at home on the Tuesday. It's just like that with Gabriel coming back late if he's with Brazil. There's just, I think we're going to have it. I think what we're going to see this year is there are going to be more things like this Cucurella randomly missing out than we're used to in the past, just because the teams have got bigger squads. People are more aware of the risk with injuries now. I just wonder, because if you also look at the Liverpool long-term fixtures, from game week 12 onwards, we'll all suddenly be buying Liverpool again. And is Van Dijk so much behind Gabriel? Maybe for the short term, but I just wonder if his DEFCON is enough to make it closer.
Gabriel's quite good for DEFCON as well. He got DEFCON yesterday and the weekend. I don't think it is, personally. I would go Gabriel. I think you've got to cover that Arsenal defence.
I mean, if you went Raya. If you didn't go Raya, then definitely go Gabriel. But if you've gone Raya,
yeah,
is there an argument to go?
Yeah, I suppose there is more. There's more of an argument, but you could also say the double Arsenal is better than having than Van Dijk. I honestly think if I was wildcarding, I'd try to fit all three of these guys in.
Yeah.
And then just, safeguard the potential bench-ins for the likes of Gabriel with some 4.5 mil defenders, which there's so many good ones to pick from. I think a stronger bench, and I know we've been saying this like so many seasons, but a strong bench is so important now, especially going into Christmas and with all these fixtures coming up. Yeah, I mean, it's the easiest thing this season to have a strong bench of players that you could start any game week because of DEFCON. It just makes a strong bench. It's the best way to play, I think.
I think with Gabriel, I believe it when I see it, when he misses a game, because they've got 2 League Cup midweeks in the next couple of months, and Saliba, I think, is the most injury prone. And of course, he could get rested in the Champions League.
On defenders, completely random, but I think Senesi and Anderson are the first 2 names if I was wildcarding. I just think they look so good for just long-term, as you're saying, Stephen, just to give yourself depth. Mm-hmm. So impressed by both of them so far this season.
Yeah, agreed. I think Van de Ven is another one to throw a name in there. I mean, it's a close one. I would probably put in order Senesi, and then I think it's pretty close between Anderson and Van de Ven. But I mean, there you go. You could have all 3 of them, and then 2 premium defenders in your team, and that's a pretty nice defense.
The only thing on Van de Ven is he's not good for DEFCON, right? But the clean sheets have been good, and he's got some goal threat. But they've been the biggest outperformers of their XGC so far this season. And from game week 8 to 18, they have a horrific run of fixtures. I don't have a single green fixture from game week 8 to game week 20. I don't think I'd own Van de Ven on wildcard.
It's hard though with Wolves at home, isn't it? To say goodbye.
That's the thing.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess if the fixtures aren't there, and I agree, the biggest argument against them is the overperforming of the expected goals conceded. I think obviously that'll start to regress eventually. But they have looked like a really good defense this year. He does provide that extra attacking threat. I don't think he's a bad pick on wildcard, but yeah, maybe that argument would make me lean slightly towards putting Anderson above him. Yeah,
I can see Van de Ven being rested as well. I think you can see it with him because he's injury prone.
True.
On defenders, very quickly, how do you feel on Palace? Because Freddie in the chat just asked, he also likes Richards at that cheap price. And I like him, but then you do have the excitement of a Munoz, you do have the excitement, a bit more of a Lacroix because his DEFCON is great. How do you feel on, I suppose, because Stephen, you're saying you'd want like Gabriel, you try and fit Van Dijk in there. So you probably are not going to go Munoz as well as those 2. So you could drop down that to, instead of a Van de Ven, you could go a Richards. But do you see Lacroix and Munoz being worth the value over him if it's a third defender spot?
Yeah, I think the tricky thing is now with Richards on penalties. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I see what you mean with you got to look at the comparison between someone like Richards jumping up zero point 0.5 to Lacroix is like that is a very big improvement. And then again, it's like Lacroix to Munoz, that's also worth a zero point 0.5. So where are you going to get the million from? And to be honest, in my wildcard draft, I actually did have Van Dijk, Gabriel, and Munoz, and then two 4.5s, which was a sweaty little 4/5 at the back.
You don't have Palmer in there, do you?
I also had Palmer in there,
Oh, you
but
don't have Gyökeres. That's who you're dropping.
yeah, I didn't have Gyökeres. I had Evan Nilsson instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just I don't think it's necessarily I could always remove him or find space to to not go that heavy at the back. But I just am very tempted by the likes of Munoz. If I
Yeah.
was to drop someone out of that defense, it'd probably be Van Dijk, to be honest.
Mhm.
But yeah, there is just so many good 4.5 million options that it's so easy to build a really solid defense now.
Yeah. Tom, how do you feel? Are you thinking of a Palace defender on wildcard?
Yeah, very much so. Lacroix has always been in the wildcard drafts I've done for next week. I think he's definitely worth the point 0.5 over Richards, because he's the target for set pieces, and he is really good for defcons. He has actually hit it in all 4 games if you use Opta as revisions. Well, one of them
Yeah.
came in after the deadline, but
Mm.
I'm
He
gonna.
didn't hit it against. He didn't hit it against Sunderland.
No, sorry, he didn't. He got it in the first 3, yeah, and then no one
Yeah.
got it against Sunderland. But I don't think he's worth the point. I don't think Munoz is worth the 0.5 over Lacroix
Interesting.
with defcons.
Yeah, it
if
definitely
Lacroix gets a
balances
few
it out.
goals.
Mm.
That's fair. Yeah, it definitely balances it out. I do really like Munoz as like an exciting pick. For me, I feel like if I'm going 4/5 at the back, I just don't want to be too. I'd still want a bit of excitement in my life with Munoz.
Four at the
But
back with Van Dijk, Senesi, Lacroix, and Anderson. You really are
Centre
living
backs
it.
FC.
yeah, yeah. So I just like that Munoz pick to make me look like I'm not a complete sweat. But no, Lacroix could definitely find his way into my team, especially if I'm looking at the likes of Raya plus Lacroix against like Sanchez and Munoz. I'd probably go Raya Lacroix.
Cool. Let's talk about the player that's missing of your wildcard game week 6 draft, which is Gyökeres. Let's talk about forwards in general. Ollie Watkins has absolutely stunk it up over the first 4 weeks, and I don't think there's a politer way for me to really go and say that. Along with the rest of the Aston Villa team, who most of us are all invested in. I wouldn't sell Watkins this week. I don't think there's many forwards in the game I would sell Watkins to this week. And as crazy as it sounds, I wouldn't buy Haaland and I wouldn't buy Gyökeres for him this week. I just think that City game is too difficult to call more than anything. So I would give Watkins. I mean, Watkins to João Pedro is a consideration if you want to get rid of Watkins, but I wouldn't sell him to Haaland and Gyökeres. Gyökeres is interesting. 67 and 65 over the last 2 is a bit of a, he scored twice against Leeds, scored against Forest. He's going to get chances in that Arsenal team. There's no doubt about it. It's just if the minutes, and like when Havertz comes back, that will be a worry for me, I think.
Yeah, I mean Havertz returning is definitely a worry. I think just based off what I've seen from Gyökeres, he has impressed me from a goal scoring perspective. And in FPL, I could see him being very effective, especially against like we've seen these teams lower down in the table. He's going to try to get a majority of his goals in these games. I can see, and maybe struggling a bit more against stronger defenses. I just wonder whether that price tag with the minutes, with the Havertz concern, the price tag it is a big jump up from the likes of I know like João Pedro or even Evan Nilsson is a player I think is very interesting too. But at the same time, there's not many interesting forwards in the game at the moment besides maybe 3 or 4, and Gyökeres is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I did a I did like top 10 forwards to buy at the moment, and I ran out of options that I had to put Strand Larson in it in case he was back. That's how few forwards I feel like there are to talk about. Tom, you feel much more bullish on Gyökeres just because of his goal scoring record, do you think, in those easier games?
Yeah, it's fixtures as well and penalties. Yeah, I just can't. Arsenal have been crying out for a striker for years, and he's doing well, so I don't really understand why Arteta would take him out of the team. He subbed him off when they were winning both times. Yeah, he hasn't hit his top form yet, but his numbers are really good in the home games. I think the whole flat track bully thing is going to get bigger and bigger if he blanks against City and Newcastle, and then scores against West Ham. But like, it's West Ham, Fulham, Palace, Burnley, Sunderland. I'm going to take him on for that. I'm going to have him for those matches. I don't really see a good reason why not to. On Watkins specifically, the only person I'd buy this week would be João Pedro, especially because João Pedro may go up and Watkins may go down again. So like, you're kind of protecting yourself. Even if you're wildcarding next week, you're still protecting yourself 0.2 there. Don't think that's a bad move at all, but I mean, he's going to score at some point, right? I keep saying that. I think I said that last week. But
I bet he scores this season.
He'll score in game week 6 when everyone's taking him out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
But Villa, they look so bad. Do you think there's like genuine problems there? Like,
I was reading some Villa stuff last night that say they feel like the attitude is not good, and they wonder like how engaged they are still with Emery. That they don't feel like the effort is there at the moment. Particularly Rodgers was the one that people were least pleased with. So, I mean, 4 weeks in, I like Emery, but if it keeps on like this, then, I mean, it can't go on like this much more, really.
It can.
Yeah, I mean, they have tried to fix it with a few of those transfers in. Obviously, Harvey Elliott getting a goal yesterday is a good sign for them. But on Ollie Watkins, I mean, he scored a penalty in the League Cup last night, so that's the first goal of the season out the way for him. And I think
Richards
that's the
and
level
Watkins,
of
because they're on
copium.
pens.
Yeah, it's the level of copium I think Watkins owners are dealing with right now, is looking at that penalty as a positive, but it is. Yeah, it's been tough for all of us, double Villa attack in FPL, but I think for a lot of us, it's their last chance in our teams. If they don't score this game week, then yeah, I think I'll be wildcarding if they don't score.
I mean, if Watkins scores a hat-trick, I am going to take him out. So
yeah, if Watkins scores a hat-trick, I might delay my wildcard until game week 8, but if he blanks, I might play in game week 6.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as well.
Is there any world, like, you say you're not that high on Gyökeres, Harry, like, if Watkins scores in the next 2, like, you keep him on wildcard for Burnley?
What if he's...
Like, if I
was wildcarding 8, but 8's after Burnley.
8 is after Burnley, correct.
Burnley,
like,
7.
So if you don't go Gyökeres, what other forwards were you looking at?
I mean, I have Gyökeres in my draft at the moment. I still like Mateta.
Who did you have, Stephen, then, if you didn't have Gyökeres?
He had Evan Nilsson.
Yeah, I had Evan Nilsson, João Pedro, Haaland.
Yeah, I guess that's just a scratchy. That's a big saving, I suppose, isn't it?
I'd probably go Mateta, or I'd go Strand Larsen if he was available, which is more likely in 8 than it is in 6.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, I agree. At the moment, like, I was just looking at the Scout website just to look at forwards predicted in case we've missed anyone, but there just aren't really. Like, who are we gonna like? Mateta's probably the one. Bowen, we're not buying. Evan Nilsson, no. Strand Larsen, no. The Newcastle forwards, if Wissa's back, I don't think you want to buy either of them. Ekitike, like, I suppose the one is going to be Isak. I'm not saying you're going to want him on wildcard 6, but are we going to get to a point where we're going to need to find even more money to do, or is it going to be Haaland out to get Isak?
If Isak comes on for 45 and scores a goal or two tonight, and then maybe plays in another 45 on the weekend against Everton and gets a goal or something, then I think he'll be in 50% of wildcards game week 6.
I guess it's an easy swap from Palmer, right? If you needed it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or it's not that hard to go Gyökeres to Isak.
Yeah, it would be that Palmer spot.
Like you could just get Bruno and Isak instead of Gyökeres and Palmer. Not yet though, surely. I mean, AFCON time is going to be Frimpong and Isak straight in
every
people's
teams,
teams.
Yeah. True.
Cool. Let's move into the final one, which is our midfield to talk about. I don't think there's that much to talk about him apart from he looking amazing, and he now seems to be on pens as well. And that is Bournemouth, Antoine Semenyo. And if they keep playing like they are, Kluivert's not going to get back in the team, and then he's going to be on pens for even longer. I don't see any reason not to pick Semenyo on a wild card.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's getting to that point where the conversation around Semenyo is like, at what price do we not buy him? And right now he's playing like a 9 million player. Like he is honestly in the form of his life. Obviously, the penalty was the icing on the cake for all of his FPL managers, and I was really upset to see that as a non-owner. But yeah, there's nothing worse than watching a player like Semenyo rise in price over and over again while like I plan to get him in, but I'm just waiting for the right moment. And I do think my copium is that I can just wait for him and I'm still going to buy him even if he's 8 million, but it's just so hard to watch that price continue to rise.
I'm going to buy him in 6, whether I wildcard or not.
I mean, Tom, you got him last night, didn't you?
Yeah, I just took Verts out because I'm going to wildcard. I save the money. Potentially that's a 0.2 swing before the deadline.
Full of Ham has literally just said, would I transfer Wirtz out for Semenyo this week? Let's use that as a good segue and talk about our teams. I'll let you go first, Tom, because you have confirmed that transfer. Did they both change in price last night?
They didn't, no, but
did either of them?
Verts was a maybe, and I thought I'm not doing this. And Semenyo doesn't have midweek football, so I thought it's fine. And I've got Richards first sub, so
okay,
it's fine. I just want to say on Semenyo, that 0.06 expected assist there coming in. Players in form when their sideways passes lead to assists.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a no-brainer. But yeah, for the podcast, Sanchez, Porro, Murillo with a flag, Anderson, Gabriel, Semenyo, Fernandez, Salah, Captain Anderson, both Andersons this week, João Pedro, Watkins with Chris Richards, Dewsbury Hall and Guiu on the bench.
Nice. So you've got Richards sub if Murillo's going to miss out.
Yeah, I think there's an argument to play him instead of Porro because of how bad West Ham are at set pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. If you've got Laquala this week, it looks great.
Yeah. Which I guess Murillo will have to see, but Postecoglou said it was just a knock, but apparently he said that about Kulusevski, who's been out the whole
8
year.
months since then.
So, but Murillo, he posted on Instagram and he was clapping the fans. He seemed okay. And I seem to remember he kind of limps off last year a little bit as well.
Yeah, it feels like it happens all the time.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess the Gabriel was on the bench for a bit for Richards. But I remember I did that last year against City and he scored.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing that again.
That game
That's
that Kyle
tough.
Walker tried to mark him and just held onto his arm.
Would you guys pay Richards over anybody?
I'm looking at this and I'm really struggling to figure out like who to start him over. But I agree that potentially Porro is the one, especially looking at all the predictions. Brighton have really, really high goal scoring predictions this game week. Like I was surprised to see how high they were on the charts. So maybe it's Porro for Richards. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be tempted by Murillo.
But I mean,
Just 'cause I
Burnley,
think-
I think they can keep out Lyle Foster.
Forest, I mean, we thought that about a lot of teams so far with Forest, and yet here they are, one of the 4 teams without a clean sheet.
This is true. But yeah, I think...
I would, to be honest, I'd probably have it as is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably Porro, Richards, Murillo, but maybe Murillo will be out and it makes it easy.
Yeah, there you go. It's a nice first bench option to have.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's me, pretty simple, really.
Stephen, do you want to go?
Yeah. So, my team is actually looking quite good for Game Week 5. Famous last words, but the fixtures are, they're pretty nice. And I guess I penciled in a Game Week 5 bench boost at the start of this season, but I don't see that happening anymore. For everyone on the podcast, I have Sanchez and Nets, Nico Williams, Van Dijk, Van de Ven, and Munoz with the back 4. And then I've got 3 in the midfield with Salah captain, Gakpo finishing off the Liverpool triple up against Everton, and then Rodgers also in the midfield there with Watkins up top. Hopefully they can combine for once this season. And then Mateta and Wood either side of Watkins there. So yeah, like I said, if Rodgers and Watkins don't do anything this game week, then I'm 100% wildcarding in game week 6 because there is a lot of problems with this team. I mean, we just heard Maresca say Jorgensen might take minutes off of Sanchez, whether that's in the Prem or not, we will see. In defense, I don't really want Williams or Esteve long term in the midfield. Gakpo could potentially start losing some minutes with Isak coming in, and then obviously Rodgers hasn't done anything. Wilson's minutes aren't secure, and Sarr is still injured. So yeah, and obviously up top, these lads haven't been on the best of form. Like I said, I've only gotten 1 goal from my forward line this year so far, so some changes need to be made here. But for this game week, I think I'm in a good spot, to be honest, and I'm happy to have Harry Wilson first on my bench.
I was going to say you should start Wilson, I think.
Torpedo Runner says Steven's got Steven as first bench. It's going to be such a shame when you are going to sell him and we're not going to be able to make this joke every week.
Yeah, that's going to be a shame. But he does have to leave my team because he's just not. His minutes aren't secure. But yeah, I was really looking forward to wildcarding this in game week 5 because I don't see a lot of people doing that. But it's just not going to happen anymore with Sarr injured, obviously, and Esteve and Dubravka playing against Chris Wood, who I hope will bang 1 or 2 in. But yeah, I'm just delaying the wild card. I think it looks pretty good for game week 5.
Oh, you mean bench boost? Sorry.
Yeah, bench boost.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Do you have a Salah? Do you have a Haaland plan if you don't wildcard?
Yes, so my plan will be Salah and Watkins out, depending on how he plays, to Haaland and Semenyo. But I could I haven't actually looked at what Salah and Wood affords me in terms of a midfielder, but
it will still get you Semenyo.
It could still get me Semenyo. There you go. So I could see myself getting Mateta out as well, if Watkins scores and just holding on to Watkins. But I quite like Mateta in my team right now, so it would probably be Salah and Watkins out for Haaland and Semenyo.
Yeah, seems reasonable. I probably would wildcard that, I think.
Yeah,
there's too many problems. A lot of it is down to Rodgers, Watkins, but even then, if you sell, like, you still got the Wilsons. Like, if you're buying Haaland next week, that means you're not dealing with the Wilson-Sarr thing, is it?
I mean, the only midfielder I would keep in this team is Salah. Like, I wouldn't have Rodgers, Gakpo, Sarr, or Wilson in a wild card.
Do you think you'd keep Salah?
Oh, sorry, yeah, I wouldn't actually keep Salah, but in terms of if I was wildcarding, I wouldn't mind keeping him.
Yeah.
But like, he's not actually in my wildcard draft, but none of the other 4 would be in it for sure.
Yeah, fine.
On captaincy,
Cool.
Are we like? Is it just the least worst option, right? Or are we? Is anyone actually confident that Salah's going to do anything?
If I knew someone else was in form, I would wonder about it. But it's also the early kickoff after they play Atletico Madrid tonight.
Oh, that is rough.
Yeah.
Watkins captain, anyone?
That would be the ultimate meta play for his first goal. You just captain him.
Yeah. That's the issue. Is I don't see that much else. Anyway, let me talk through my team. Sanchez in goal, Anderson, Williams, Agbadu, Rodgers, Salah, Paqueta, Bruno, João Pedro, Watkins, Chris Wood, and Dubravka, Porro, Senesi, Reinders on the bench. And I think I'm going to bench boost. I think. I'm not definitely going to, because if all 4 of those players blanked, I wouldn't be that surprised. But I think the chance of me getting at least 1 return from them is probably good enough for me to play it this week. Dubravka at home to Forest. The issue is he goes up against double Forest in my team. Porro away at Brighton. Senesi at home to Newcastle and Reinders away at Arsenal. So I probably will roll, or I almost certainly will roll, and I probably will bench boost. And then I haven't decided if I'm going to wildcard in 6 or I'm going to wildcard in 8. Again, a lot of it will probably depend on Villa. Because if I think I can get to 8... Because the thing is, Villa have Fulham at home in 6 and Burnley at home in 7, which I like. Bruno also has Brentford away, Sunderland at home. So my team actually looks fine for the next 2 weeks or next 3 weeks until 8. I just wouldn't probably be able to buy Arsenal. And I would probably sell Chris Wood before Watkins if I did that, because I could keep Watkins for Burnley at home, whereas Wood goes away to Newcastle in 7. So it's basically, I imagine Saturday evening or Sunday evening, I will do Salah and Wood to Semenyo and Haaland. And then decide future if I want a wild card, and it's just if I want to bench boost this.
Yeah, with the bench boost here, I think it's really interesting because you look at the matchups and you actually don't have any attackers playing against any defenders except for Chris Wood and Dubravka, which is pretty rare for a bench boost. So that's actually like, if everything goes the right way for you, it could be a huge bench boost. But no, I actually quite like it, to be honest, because you're not really going to get that in any unless you really plan for it, like having a bench boost where not everyone plays against each other and you're just kind of hedging your bets. It's like a very high upside bench boost.
And as Tom said with his bench boost, the other good option for Dubravka is to bench boost in 8, which is Leeds at home. And I might wildcard then, so I then can't bench boost in 8. So it doesn't leave me that many options.
Trust me, it would be nice to wildcard for you without thinking about it as well.
As Andrew said in the chat, you should wildcard because Bruno isn't better than Mbeumo. Now, if I'm going to wildcard 8, I think I'll buy Semenyo purely for the fact that I can't watch football without him in my team anymore. But he has Leeds away, Fulham at home, whereas Mbeumo has Brentford away, Sunderland at home. And there is a world where I think Mbeumo would outscore Semenyo in those 2 games. But I'm not sure I can bring myself to go Mbeumo over Semenyo when I've already got Bruno. So that's the plan. Just got to decide if I want a bench boost.
I think
How likely are you?
Sorry, you go, Stephen.
I was just going to say, what's the percentage likelihood of a bench boost right now, Harry?
I'd say 70.
It's pretty high.
Yeah. Part of the reason I took the -4 last week was for the bench boost this week. Like, people throw in a few other things. Like, I could wildcard in game week 6 or game week 8, and I could bench boost game week 8 or game week 9. The issue is Anderson's almost certain to stay on my wildcard, and he plays Arsenal and Newcastle in those two weeks. So I don't think it's any particular better fixture. It's more Reinders. If Reinders played anyone but Arsenal, I'd be all over it, I think. But I think I'll just do it.
Yeah,
8 is after the international break as well. Yeah, I think I'll probably do it.
Yeah, same.
Hopefully get a green arrow.
Looking at our teams, this week may be the week you guys catch me up, to be honest. I think I might enjoy my rank for a little bit, and then you guys will come and catch me up, because my team looks way worse this week.
Isn't it the lowest predicted goals scored of a game? You were saying, Rob T was saying it's the lowest since 2023.
Yep.
Good stuff. We'll still be playing a back 5 then. It'll be the week where there are suddenly no clean sheets all of a sudden.
Yeah.
This may be a stupid question, like it's kind of pointless, but if I told you that Haaland scored this week, would you wildcard? Because I would.
I wouldn't. Have you told me he scored 1? No, I don't think I would.
I probably would, to be honest.
I'm just hemorrhaging value, and it's not fun.
Yeah.
Hey, if I told you Haaland scored a goal, you'd wildcard this week.
Yeah,
then I think you should both wildcard.
Well, no, because I don't think he is going to score. But
agreed.
I just think Salah's going to blank, and I think Palmer might score against United as well. I was pretty close. I was quite close to wildcarding on Sunday night, but then it doesn't really make sense. I suppose
you're going to wildcard triple Arsenal against City.
Well, yeah, it doesn't make sense, but if you I guess if you really want to triple captain Haaland, is there a school of thought to wildcard early?
That's fair, actually. I didn't think about it that way, but I'm not gone on the triple captain Haaland in game week 6. And also I'm more keen on captaining Salah this week than getting rid of him because I wouldn't have him on my wild card.
I think the triple captain 6 is another reason I might delay my wild card.
Yeah, at least no one said Burnley playing with a low block, because I think that is just pure copium. Don't even say those words.
Hasn't Haaland scored? How many goals has Haaland ever scored against a low block? Isn't it like a ton? He still scores against them.
And Burnley were the worst team for expected goals conceded before game week 4. So yeah,
There you go.
like you.
I mean, and they still conceded 2.5 xg to Liverpool. I know part of that was a pen, but still.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you don't wildcard in 6, like people will definitely keep up with the wildcarders, with triple captains and good players. Because like
There are just options further down the line that I still like, though. I just like there is a really nice run. Like game week 15, Haaland has Sunderland at home, but it does fall straight after a Wednesday night game. So,
yeah, I think you're going to be pretty unlucky if you pick Haaland in any blanks in this form.
yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Salah though, like
Oh, hang on. That Sunderland at home fixture is after they play Fulham away midweek. They play Sunderland weekend and then away at Real Madrid in the Champions League.
Oh.
There is no way I'm triple captaining Haaland in that week.
when was the last time he was benched when fit though?
I don't care. That is, and then they play. Who do they play the weekend after? Palace away. 4 games in 5. Not even that. They play Leverkusen. Oh, that is straight after the international break. They play weekend midweek, weekend midweek, weekend midweek, weekend
Wow.
for 3 weeks, including Leverkusen and Real Madrid in the Champions League. Yeah.
What game week does that start? What's the first game week after the international break?
They have Newcastle away, which is
12.
12.
Okay.
It's going to be that West
I
Ham
mean, it'll be
game,
the same.
isn't it? Free midweek before West Ham at home.
Yeah. 20th of December, yeah.
Or maybe Salah will just, get back to the Salah we know.
Well, there are options for Salah, but then they'll presumably have this same. I mean, Salah's not getting benched, right? But
I don't think Haaland
Liverpool
is
had the
either,
same.
to be quite honest.
no, but the Burnley fixture comes straight after cut midweek.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, yeah, that's the benefit of Haaland.
yeah.
Palmer.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunderland at home when he doesn't play. I've never fearmongered it myself into a rotation so much as I feel like I've done on this pod. I'm not going to pick Gabriel. I'm not going to triple captain Haaland. I'm not going to pick I'm not having anyone at the moment.
You
I'm
said
just
to
gonna
get a good
wild
bench
card.
as well.
I'm going to wildcard 15 players who don't play in Europe.
Could be
And
the
then
strat, honestly.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, Gabriel, Haaland and Salah will get benched, I reckon, once maximum this season.
Fair.
Anyway, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you both very much. That is just under an hour. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. Good luck with this week. Feel free to be back here next week once Ollie Watkins has scored his first hat-trick of the season. All assisted by Morgan Rogers. Let's hope. Thank you guys very much. Stephen, have a lovely weekend.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
See you, Tom.
Thanks, guys.